Hello there, this is Vi, checking out Cozy Together. This is a game I've not played before. Gonna give it a playtest here, see if we can give some feedback. I've got the game page open here. It's got some controls written here as well as a description. It says WASD to move, walk near interactables to populate an interaction list, then click the interaction you wish to perform from the list. Escape takes off your VR headset and returns you to reality so you can pay your rent. I opens the invent. C opens character sheet to see equipped items. L opens stat log. All right, so we got keys all over the keyboard here. I definitely prefer to have, I guess, a bit more of an ergonomic layout rather than you know, basing it on the first letter or whatever, but I guess that's a personal preference. You play as Emmy, a lonely girl in a lonely world where social contact in the real world is a perk only afforded to the very wealthy. It's a bit early here, so maybe I'm not 100% at the moment. A plague came to Earth and spread like wildfire. Billions died. Those that could afford it fled the planet, but space travel isn't a luxury everyone can afford. Okay. Those who remain are unable to work a job but still need to eat. Emmy turns to gold farming in her favorite MMORPG, providing a service to those who already left. Rent is due every month until she can afford a ticket out of there. If she can't meet the payments, it's game over. If you enjoy this early demo, please consider wishlisting on Steam. Full game will be much bigger and multiplayer and only $1 in early access. Alright, it's got a Steam link here. Very interesting. So there's some themes here that I kind of recognize from from things that the developers talked about. So that's really very interesting to me, I would say. And it looks like we have some kind of element of being able to take off the VR headset at will. It sounds really interesting. I got to try and get into this to see what's actually going on here. But all right, so let's click over to the game. I've not seen anything past the screen here. I do have to say that this looks quite a lot different from what was presented on the game page in terms of aesthetics. I don't know if there's some expectations being subverted here or something, but there is also this element of having a VR world, which I guess is going to come into play here. So very interesting looking. We've got this weird meter at the top here. I guess it's a meter. I don't know, maybe is that like a mood or something? So we just click on start game. It sounds a little bit loud, that little tick sound. All right, so here's the interact menu. It's kind of cool. It's kind of yeah, this is kind of a comfy way to do this in my opinion, where you have your WSD and then you have your context menu, but you just kind of, it's really easy to just kind of swing the mouse over here and click on what you want to do. I feel like I don't think I've played a game that kind of works like that before. It's usually like you walk up to something and then like press a button and then it'll have some context sensitivity or whatever, but kind of using the mouse and also the ability to have more than one context sensitive interaction at the same time available is pretty interesting. So that's cool. That's a little thing, but I kind of like that. I will mention real quick before I keep going, I looked out the window before I started recording this and I saw a guy throwing some tools on the ground around his motorbike, like right outside my window. So in case we get interrupted, I apologize with some disturbing noises or something. Don't really know what might happen, but so I guess this is a door. A little hard to tell. That I guess the floor kind of ends here, then it kind of droops over the side for some reason. It's a little weird looking, but I guess this is supposed to be a door. I guess it's sort of Pokemon-esque, for where you don't really see the door, but you see something that kind of indicates it. Yeah, it sort of makes sense. Yeah, you kind of don't have collision on some things here, but we've got. I can't afford cable. Okay. Look in my email. One thing I will note about this whole interaction where there's all this context sensitive interactions is that Like I guess we have like 3 different objects in the room that all have interactability here, but they're kind of close together. So like when I walk in the middle here, it's like this thing can kind of start. It feels a little janky how this keeps popping up and changing and disappearing. And I don't really feel like a strong association between what's over here and which object in the room this is referring to. So if I'm kind of deliberate and I kind of make sure I like walk up directly to this and I'm close to this, then I know it's going to be this, and I kind of do that. But when I'm kind of in the middle here, it's like, I don't know, this thing just keeps changing a lot. So a couple things that come to mind. You could probably see, this is bed on the right of the thing there. I guess that helps a little. Okay. I mean, that's better than nothing, but yeah, you could. I feel like you could benefit from tightening up. I assume there's some collision or something that's involved with, the distances from things where this pops up is maybe a little bit bigger than it needs to be. It could be considered kind of a quality of life thing that you don't necessarily have to walk really close up to something in order to have the menu here, but just because of how many different things there are, I feel like if the ranges were a little bit tighter, then this wouldn't be going so bonkers with being standing in the middle of all these different objects. The other thing is you could add some kind of a highlight on the object itself, so that when this pops up, it's like you can kind of visually see which thing is being looked at or whatever for this. I think that would help also. I do notice that, of course, this interact menu is a bit large, and because of that, it does kind of cover up what you're looking at over here a little bit. And I don't think you should necessarily make this smaller, because I think it's nice to have it nice and chunky, because it's just sort of, in an ergonomic way, it's kind of easy to click on things when they're bigger and chunkier. But maybe, like if I mentioned about how if you kind of tightened up the ranges a bit, like if you can see how this kind of covers up the dresser thing over here, whatever it is. Is it a dresser? By the way, this is VR. Oh, I guess there's a VR headset right there. I didn't even realize that this was for the thing on top of that. I thought it was just for this piece of furniture that this was, but I guess I didn't look closely enough at what this was saying. But yeah, you can see how this is all covered up right now, but like when I get closer, now I can see it on the screen. So like if this was a shorter range, we wouldn't have this situation where this is telling me to interact with something that I can't physically see at the moment. Let's move on. We've got an intercom, which I noticed actually it looks like you can get too close and then this kind of stops working. I also noticed like when I turn around, you can see how it kind of appears and disappears really quickly. Little bit janky, but all right, it's early development type of stuff. You need to buy a ticket to the space elevator. Whoa. Wait, what? Oh, this thing in the top. Okay, so I'm probably wasting away this meter up here. It looks like I'm quite anxious at the moment because I've spent all this time. Why is? Oh wait, this is the door, right? This is a different door. That leads to a balcony. Oh, so I click on this, but the menu disappears. Oh, so I accidentally clicked on the wrong thing. Look. Why is it knocking? Because I'm supposed to pay the rent or something? But yeah, so the context menu disappears, so I have to kind of like walk away and then walk close again. I think it should should pop back up after you click on this, and then I should still be able to interact with that. Oh, okay, so it is, yeah, somebody was like, you have to pay the rent or whatever. Can I just run from this guy? What happens if I just... Oh, I can't actually go out the door. It just takes me by the neck. Alright, interesting. So that's kind of creepy. Okay. You tried. I wonder why it types so slowly. Oh, it just closes the whole game. Wow. Okay. Well, it's probably down to there not being like an actual main menu to go back to. I mean, it could go back to the screen. Uh, so it's probably more of an aesthetic decision, I guess. But I'd probably prefer it didn't do that. You know, I'm just noticing the walk cycle is a little funny, but let's not nitpick about that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. Is there? I guess there's no pause. Here's the inventory. What was the other thing? C was something. Equipment. Oh, this is from my body. Okay, the scroll wheel is kind of inadequate here. Like, it doesn't move enough, so that'd be something to tweak there. But woodcut axe empty. Pickaxe empty. Head empty. I don't know why this says woodcut axe and pickaxe at the bottom. Like, the rest of these look like, you know, inventory slots, and then we've got these. It's kind of, I don't know what that is, but yeah. So I have to press C again to get rid of this. I kind of wish there's some other means to like just clicking in here or something that I could close that. Even just putting an X on here would be better than nothing, so I could close this with the mouse rather than being forced to use the C. Oh gosh, it's the guy with the motorcycle. For a moment I thought that was the in the game here. You know, I'm gonna wait. Alright, I'm gonna pause the recording for a moment here. Okay, sorry about that. Motorcycle guy is gone, so we're gonna go back to whatever we're doing here. So I will mention, unfortunately, games like this that have this, what do we call it? Time pressure or tension. Unfortunately, it's kind of, especially if there's no way to pause the game, like, it's a little bit hard for me to do these kinds of videos because of the fact that I'm always just stopping and I'm just yammering on about some little detail or whatever. I'm not actually playing the game the whole time, so like when this time is just ticking down the whole time, I'm kind of constantly losing the game while I'm trying to do these kind of playtests with an analysis and everything. So unfortunately, the way this kind of thing works, I'd definitely like to see a pause. I don't know if that's planned for, you know, obviously this is in an early state. We don't have menus and stuff, so I'd at least like to see a pause, and that would be nice. And then, you know, I'd like to be able to restart the game. But I did notice there's like this dark bit on the ground here. I don't know what that's representing. I guess the door kind of swings open to here, maybe. I don't know what. I don't know if that has some kind of significance. Yeah, it's kind of annoying. Oh, I have to, like, after I look at... Oh, I thought I clicked on look, didn't I? Oh. Wait. Okay, yeah, so for some reason the... Like, mousing over these buttons, you can see where, like, if I click on, like, the bottom of the... Where it says look, it selects the lie down option for some reason. It's not really accurate. So that's a little weird. But, so how do I gotta actually try to play the game while talking a lot. I kind of want to restart so I can restart my menu thing up here, but I'll have to like close the game and launch it again. Maybe I just, maybe I just look around a bit and then like, I'll restart the game and try playing for real, maybe. But it does, I mean, there's also a point to be made. Of course, this isn't really an organic way of playing because I'm stopping and talking so much, so that's affecting this time element in a negative way. But also for a new player, where they don't really know anything about the game yet, and they they haven't really had a chance to come to terms with, oh, okay, that's kind of dark. The face. Okay. I feel like this is it's like a throwback to the first time I playtested a Jofer game. The easy way out, okay. So, yeah, the text is kind of slow. It's there's a certain aesthetic element to how slow that message is at the end, but it's also like if the player just wants to restart, you should probably just let them do so. Like just let them click or something, and then instead of before the message completely shows up or something, maybe just let them click and then have a little pop-up that lets them restart or something, you know what I mean? Like so they aren't forced to sit and wait through it every time. But yeah, okay, let's give this a shot with like actual gameplay. So I can go out here. But what I was saying is, so you know, if a new player just wants to kind of come to terms with the gameplay and the controls and everything, they kind of end up being punished a bit by this timer because they haven't really gone through the process of familiarizing themselves with the game yet. And whatever you have to do to tutorialize stuff, it can be a good idea to find some way to have this this tutorial element or just the learning stages of the game not be burdened by this time element, you know, just have a period where the player can learn and then introduce that afterwards. Okay, so now we're in the VR. Okay, the ground is very empty. We got some invisible walls around here. Kind of disorienting. Can I? Oh, I can go all the way back. Like, can I move the camera around? Like, just to be safe, I want to check the game page again. Oh, okay, so there's L is also a button. So I want to check the controls again. Because they're not like shown in game at this point. Escape takes off your VR headset, so that's going to be important. And then L is the stat log. Also, I've got skills. Interesting how it opens the log. Scroll to the bottom like that. So I guess this looks like an elevator, and then no. Up. I don't want to be too close to the door, apparently. Brenthorpe. Trade my goods here. Oh gosh, that's loud. Okay, let me sake of the video, I'm gonna turn that way down. There's a little bit of ambience in the background that's a lot quieter, so you're not gonna hear that, I guess, but looking for some general goods. I don't believe I have any money. So whenever you have a shop, you want to show how much money the player has currently. It doesn't appear to show me that anywhere here. How do I get out? Oh, so I hit escape and it took off the VR headset and oh, I guess pressing WSD. So I have to go back over here to put it back on. Okay, yeah. So for one thing, and I see this I see this time ticking down, it makes me uncomfortable to you know sit here and talk, but so it's not clear how to get out of this menu. I guess you're just supposed to WSD and then you can walk away. Apparently that's it, but in my opinion, the escape key should be like a universal. Whenever you're in a menu, escape is kind of like a universal back button. It's kind of the convention that's been established, and in my opinion, it works well. And if you don't do it, then you kind of it's just so universal that I feel like it's kind of a must, and it's just really important to be able to have a quick way to back out of menus, you know, whatever kind of menu it is. So I definitely recommend doing that. Right now you have the escape tied to this VR headset. It's probably, use a different key for that anyways, because I'd also use escape for like a pause menu or whatever. You can do all that kind of thing. But the other thing I noticed is that, like, okay, you can escape to get out of VR and then you're back in your home. But like, escape doesn't go back into VR. And my first thought is that it would be nicer to have like a single sort of input for going back and forth. Like, if you're going to have this mechanic where you're going back and forth, I'm guessing, I don't know at this point. It kind of seemed like maybe most of the gameplay is meant to be in the VR world, and then you kind of only come back here occasionally. But either way, it does stand out to me that you just like hit one key and you instantly go back to this world. But in order to go into the VR world, you have to like walk over to this thing and select it on the menu, and then you have to go back to this like starting point in the world, and you have to go over here. So I wonder if you can make this a lot more seamless by like maybe I walk over here and then I hit escape, and then maybe I'm back in here, but then maybe I can just hit a button to put the VR headset back on, and I just appear back where I was in the VR world or something. You know, maybe that would make sense. It'll certainly reduce the amount of stuff I have to do to get back to where I was, I guess. And then we've got bars level 3. It's really annoying how when you walk too close to stuff, you can't interact with it anymore. I also will say you have this springy effect whenever this pops up, which is kind of fine at first, but after a little bit, it just gets a little bit annoying. Because I kind of just would rather just be a little bit snappy rather than just having to wait for that to spring into place and stop, come to rest and everything. It just sort of becomes an annoyance to look at, I think, after a while. Oh, okay, so you can hear the knocking outside of the VR world, which is kind of cool. Okay, so something occurred to me. I was talking about this idea of like new players not really knowing what they're doing yet while they're still facing this time pressure. I guess you could say there's something to be said for the idea of it kind of being part of the game if you don't know what you're doing, but you're on a time limit, So maybe there's this element of the player has to figure out what they're doing and fail a few times before they kind of figure out how to get further. Some games are structured like that, and that I can kind of understand if maybe that was the idea here. But I also don't want to sit through this part where I have to wait for this text, especially if it's the same thing every time, and just want to go back and retry. All right, I can go back and launch the game again. All right, so let's see what we can figure out within our little time limit here. I guess we just go straight to VR. Oh, apparently I canceled it by using WASD. I don't know if you want to I don't know if you'd want that to happen. That was a little awkward feeling. I've never tried this. This is like an elevator. I guess it's, oh. What? Why did it do that? Okay. This might be just a bit of jank going on here. I don't think that's probably not the intended behavior. That's probably just something unfinished, I'm gonna assume. But here we are. Be nice to be able to jump around probably. I feel like we should be able to interact with the world in kind of a gamey way, We don't have control over the camera. It is a little bit zoomed in. I like this. I just now noticing we have this we have this sort of Animal Crossing-esque what do we call this? Sort of a cylindrical rendering here. I don't know. The horizon dips off into. Oh. Okay. Oof. There's more than one thing here. Okay. This is all a little janky. So little details. It's important to oh, I got $50. Okay. It's important when you do stuff like combat, you have to add a lot of these little gaps in time, like little waits between everything that happens. So for instance, if I kill this, I don't want the instant that I punch him for the last time for like a full screen thing to pop up that says I leveled up, you know? What I want is I want to see my punch connect, and then I want to like you need like a tiny little gap of time. It's like, okay, the punch connected, then you see the thing die, it explodes, and it's like you get X, you know, however much XP, and then it's like, okay, and then it tells you leveled up, right? You have to actually space out every individual action so the player can kind of observe every individual thing. So you have to like plug in all these little wait moments where I guess delays before the next thing happens, you know what I mean? So it'll be helpful. Okay. Yeah, so I like our context menu thing, like I mentioned at the start. I'm not sure if I like it necessarily for everything, like using it for combat, I guess, if you want to call it combat. And then like the thing pops out and I have to use it for this, and it's like you could streamline a lot of this by not requiring every single interaction in the game to be tied to this interaction menu. Like maybe I just walk up to it and click on it or something. Maybe the thing pops out, maybe I just walk over it and I pick it up, or I click on it and I pick it up, you know what I mean? Or maybe I just click on some things and that just works. Yeah, so I'd like to be able to jump since I since I end up in this situation. Like I can just kind of walk over something like that. It'd be nice to be able to jump. I feel like this is an interactable thing. Maybe that's just not implemented yet or something, but okay, and yeah, so we're like stacking multiple menu things that are popping up at the same time. It's another thing, you really want to do this one at a time, you know? So what's the deal with, we're supposed to be paying rent, but I don't know, I guess this number has gone up. I don't know what these numbers are actually indicating, apart from I apparently earned some money, but why is it 0 to whatever this is? I also don't know, like, if I'm paying rent, what is my rent? How much is it? Unreasonable large slime in the basement, do not enter. I don't believe I actually can at the moment, so maybe that's just not there yet. Like windmill up here. What was that little thing that popped up? Oh, harvest wheat. Yeah, so I feel like I'm so far away from the thing. Oh, I clicked on it, but nothing is happening. Oh, I've got some. I like how the wheat collides with the character. That's pretty cute. But it doesn't appear to be working. How much is rent? So like, what is my goal? I'd like to have that be made a little bit more explicit here. No pickaxe. Okay, well there's this guy. Can I, how do you pay the rent? Oh, so you can use the intercom. Oh, the rent is $2.25, so I guess I have exactly enough, but I don't have enough for food. Wait, so I'm assuming that's how much I have, but when I click on it, It's not working? Pay bills. Why doesn't it work? Is that not my money? What do I, what does it mean? What does it mean? Yeah, another thing is maybe... Oh, I can't actually interact with anything anymore once this guy comes out. I was gonna... I was curious if I could like run out into the balcony and like try to mess with him out there, but... Okay. I'm gonna Alt F4 before that forces me to watch that ending screen again and try relaunching the game here. So yeah, I mentioned another way to interact with things. It could, like, apart from clicking on things, it could just be something like the E key, you know, or if you were using a gamepad, you know, you'd want it to just be like, you just walk up to something and press the button. Yeah, I guess it kind of requires some more thought because I feel like this makes a lot of sense, this interact menu, for certain things, and certain things it doesn't, but you don't want to make it too weird by having some objects in the world interact in one way and others don't. So maybe there's some... I'm sure there's some ways to sort that out in a way that makes sense, but definitely seems like there's certain things that feel a lot more cumbersome having to interact in this way than otherwise. Okay, purchase access to the next zone. So what's the deal with the money? Like the numbers at the top, I don't know what those mean. Okay, this is a cafe. Oh gosh, just even leaving is kind of annoying because I have to use this interact menu. And kind of go back here. There are times when I feel like the camera is a little bit annoying and it's kind of a little bit zoomed in, but I can understand you don't want to have like a full 360 maybe. Full 360 control of the camera, and it's sort of this, you know, sort of Animal Crossing-esque camera. But it does feel like it's a little zoomed in, and maybe just being able to move it around a little bit, or just zoom in and out a little bit would be nice. Just give it a little bit of control like that. I haven't been able to figure anything out except killing slimes so far. Oh. Wait, I just walked over that and it disappeared. Did it pick it up? I'm gonna watch the number at the top, see if that happens again. Oh. Is it... Did it just fall through the world? Does it like collide with the character and then it just kind of glitches through the floor or something? Well, these guys don't respawn, do they? So... This only goes up to 225, this number. I don't know what that number is. It's not your money? Wait, I forgot there's... Okay, inventory, blue slime, blue slime, blue slime. Why is that my inventory? I thought I just got some money when I killed the slimes. That's equipment. Here's my skills, so my attack. There, not really sure what is going on here. I also don't... Smelt ores. I don't know how to get the tools from this guy, probably, right? Okay, pickaxe is $6. Again, it doesn't seem like the menus actually work. Oh, huh, okay. So now I have 75 over here. That still says 225. I don't understand. I know the rent is 225, so I'm like, I'm associating that with the rent. Like, that's supposed to tell me the rent, which would make a lot of sense because then I would like, okay, now I know I have to get this number in order to make rent. But when I start the game, this just says 0 and it kind of climbs over time. So I don't know if that's some jank going on there or whatever. Um, but yeah, the money thing is also confusing me because I thought I just picked up money when I killed the slimes. And it would say like $50. But then later it's like I look at my inventory and it says I have slime in my inventory and I'm like, I thought I just picked up money. I didn't think I picked up slime. But then it says the slime I can sell it for $25. So I'm wondering why did it say $50 before? You know, and it's not the dots aren't connecting for me here. And menus are a little bit confusing to interact with as well. But actually, if this is my money, then I guess that makes things clearer, and then I could buy that, I guess. Um, this button here is a little bit misleading because I feel like I'm going to click on that to buy something, but it actually is to switch to the sell menu. But we can figure that out. Okay, so they're doing pot, bucket, inspect axe, buns, wood cutting axe, and then okay, WSD is to get out. I was like, at first I was like reaching for the escape key, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't work, and I'm like clicking out of the menu, and that doesn't work. Eventually figured out. So I guess I got a pickaxe. I know the guy's gonna come in and kill me. Yeah, it takes some effort to figure this stuff out. I could see it getting annoying for some players, kind of constantly running out of time and having to restart. Oh, return to hub. Isn't there? I thought there was ores over here. I go. Oh, I must have gotten past him here. Okay. Oh, there's the dude. And well, I guess I let him kill me. I can't do anything else. Give him one more shot, shall we? So yeah, I feel like there's this idea of like, okay, you can go through this a number of times while you try and figure things out. And maybe it's okay to fail and die a few times while you're trying to make sense of things. Then it's like, okay, each time you get a little bit better at what you're doing and you formulate a plan and you start to get the hang of it. But it's a hard thing. I think games that do this kind of thing tend to be a little bit divisive, you know, like certain kind of people might like it and then others would just have no patience for it, you know. And the other thing is that even if oh, blue slime won $50. I don't know why. Even if you have somebody who likes this kind of game, it is kind of a challenging thing to, I guess, to balance it in such a way that isn't frustrating, because if you're just constantly right on the edge of running out of time and losing all your progress, I think there's kind of a limit to how fun that can be, you know, because the element of progression is just so kind of hogtied by the reality of failure constantly looming over you, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to describe that better, but there's something about a key. Oh, so there's so much more in my inventory this time. Blue slime key. And again, it says $25. I don't know. Well, I guess we go back and sell this stuff. To press I to remove that. Yeah, if we zoom out a little, I feel like it'd be a little bit easier to navigate. With this being a little bit unfamiliar, the layout of everything. I mean, I say a little bit unfamiliar, but you know, I'm new to the game, so I'm just learning everything here. I guess we select talk. And then we click over to sell and we just sell everything. I want wood cutting axe perhaps. Maybe a pickaxe. Then we just walk away. I think there's trees around. Price level 3. Well, then what one can I cut? This is part of the thing, like, even just finding where stuff is in the world is taking up time, right? So, recipe bucket 1. I don't really understand what this is doing here. Equipment, and then I can click bucket of water, but I don't have a bucket, and it says recipe bucket 1. A little confusing. How do I level up my hack? Okay, there's a different... No wood cutting axe equipped. I have to equip it? Okay, so I click on them and then does that equip it? Well, what's the point of that? Kind of goofy. Okay. 5 XP, 5 XP. I'm not getting XP anymore. What's going on here? And it's certainly not finishing the cut. Wait, what is my wood cutting is at 2. Do I try another tree? Doesn't seem like anything's happening, so again, I don't know. Is it how it's supposed to work, or is it being buggy? What was that? A little something on the screen there for a moment. I can't go back and cut the spruce because I can't get up to level 3. And I haven't gotten any money or anything because I assumed if I could fell the tree, then maybe I could sell the wood or something, but it just is bronze wood cutting axe. It doesn't say it's like broken or something. Oh, this is giving me XP now. What? Oof. I'm short on a lot of stuff. This XP seems very random. I mean, how RNG heavy are we going? It's already... We're working under this time pressure, so... I don't know if I like the idea of getting screwed over by RNG just trying to... Oh, where's my mouse? Okay, I couldn't find my mouse amidst all of the confetti there. Oh gosh, I got stuck. I got up to level 3. I don't know what the deal is with spruce. Oh, inventory is full. Oh, I didn't know I had all this wood. But I don't have time to... How much is it worth? $3. Oh, pine leaf is worth 94 for some reason. Why is the leaf is worth $94, but the logs are only worth $3? I don't really understand that. But I had no idea that my inventory was getting populated by the wood here. So it was kind of weird. It was just quite different from the interaction with the slimes there. So I don't know. I think I've seen enough of the game to give some thoughts at this point. It's kind of a tricky thing. So what it reminds me of is there's, some of these survival games where you usually have these time elements where, your different bodily needs. I guess there's some kind of food, like according to our thing here, we also have to buy food at some point. Rent to 0. Oh, I wonder if this is like a debug feature or something, or just to make things easier at the start for some reason. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of, like, if this is this is intended for like the way the game works and not just a way to make things simpler for the developer while he's working on it or something. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me for this to just increase steadily while you go collect things in VR. Yeah, that's kind of confusing, but to click on exit on this one. Okay. All right, so obviously there's a lot of weird little nitpicks you can make about the interface and everything else, and that's all stuff to work out over time. But in terms of the overall concept, like I was saying, it's sort of reminiscent of survival games where you have your needs and deplete over time, and you have to go around and you have to collect resources in order to keep your needs sustained. So it's really the same kind of thing. It's just sort of thematically different, I think. And I definitely like the idea of swapping between this VR world and the real world, and that's really cool. And I feel like there's a lot you can do with that. But I don't have a lot of experience with survival games. I just know they're kind of, like I said, it's kind of divisive, where the kind of tension you're putting on the player, where it's like everything is on the line, and you have to perform, or else you're just going to lose all of your progress because your character is going to die, and that kind of thing. Like for some players, it's kind of like that's the interest of it, but then for others, it's like that's not really fun, And I'm not sure how many people fall in each camp. I think that's a difficult thing to do in general. But I think for it to be successful, you have to find some way to, there's some kind of balance to hit where a certain level of competence should allow you to kind of keep going forever, right? And it's hard to figure out like where to place that. Like, should it be quite hard to get to that point, or should it be relatively easy to get to that point so you can just kind of go on with enjoying the game? It's hard to say. And at the moment, in the current state of this being a very early state of the game, it definitely feels very difficult to to kind of do anything. It's like you run out of time quite quickly, and I don't know. It doesn't feel like I have enough time to get very far before everything falls apart. And then there's the element where, at a certain point, a lot of the interactions in here so far are just kind of like, you could say it's busy work, and that's okay. But it's, for some people maybe it's not that interesting. Where you just kind of, you click on a thing and you get, XP pops out of it or money pops out of it or whatever. But I guess that's just a certain type of gameplay. I mean, there's, I mean, the, there's, I mean, 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 there's, there's it's sort of that number go up kind of thing, I guess, where, you know, like with the clicker games and everything, where you get um, all these sort of mathematical elements where it's like, okay, you multiply the amount of resources you can get every time you do this, and you upgrade this, and then you know, it's all math, and that's compelling enough in its own way. Uh, but I guess at the moment, I feel like that's kind of what it boils down to: is we have sort of a something of a survival game that has a bit of, I guess you could call it like a clicker game kind of progression. You just kind of run around with collecting resources, and there's probably certain things that are more lucrative than others. But then you have to deal with that, where it's like, well, if the player just figures out the one thing that makes the most money the quickest, then they can just do that. And then it's like, well, is that interesting? And is it even worth having the rest of the game? And if you try and deal with that, then is it just arbitrary that they just, like, they can only do one thing, so much of one way of making money before moving on to the next one? Then is it just like you just kind of go in the VR world and then just do one thing after the other until it's all gone, and then go back? And like, how do you make that interesting? It's a lot of tricky stuff to deal with there, I think. So um, yeah, I don't know, this is a tricky way to make a game, I think. I'm trying to think what I would do if I was making a game vaguely like this. I'm definitely curious about this idea of swapping between the VR world and the real world, because it seems like there's so many interesting things you could do with that. But at the moment, as far as I can tell, the only thing you do with the real world is just pop into here to pay your rent and then go back into VR, which kind of thematically makes sense in a way. But if you didn't do anything else with it, it would almost just make it kind of a pointless detail about the game. And I feel like you'd be missing out on some potential there to explore other mechanics that might kind of go back and forth across this boundary of the real world and the virtual world, I guess. um, but I think I'm pretty sure if I unfocus the game, it kind of works as the pause, which is interesting. If I click on over onto my other monitor. Um, yeah, I think I need more time to think about this. It's too much to do it on the fly while recording, which is kind of what I was trying to do here. So I ended up talking a lot, but I'm kind of curious about, like, what if you tried doing something that maybe didn't have a time limit attached to it, and how different that would look. And um, yeah, I think the thing I need to do is end the video and think about it, not under the pressure of needing to come up with stuff off the top of my head. So this is interesting. Hopefully this video is useful. You know, obviously there's a lot of little things I can nitpick. The bigger concept is a bit uh, bigger of a thing to get my mind around. But I'll let you know what I think about things, and yeah, let me know if this was useful, and I guess I'll see you in the next video.